But a vivid vision is a 4 or 5 page description of what your company looks like, acts like, and feels like 3 years in the future.
Your staff are showing up every day, that they're able to show up, that you're giving them an opportunity to feel inspired, to feel the opportunity to show up and be the best version of yourself.
We hire people for job descriptions, but we forget to tell them their secret mission, right? And that they often have these secret missions that are, well, I'm hiring you because I think you'll be a great CFO in 5 years.
Welcome to Money Mavericks, the podcast where we explore the dynamic world of finance, investment, and entrepreneurship.
I'm Kirk Drake.
And I'm Darryl Hicks. Together, we're here to bring you the latest insights, expert opinions from the trailblazers who are redefining success in the financial world.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Money Mavericks podcast. Today, Kirk and I super excited to have a longtime friend and mentor of mine, Cameron Herold. Cameron, amazing to have you, buddy.
Darryl, good to see you. Kirk, great to see you again too. I'm excited for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we got three countries doing this right now. We got Canada, the United States, and Australia. So
yeah, exactly. For those of our audience who don't know, Cameron is how many years now digital vagabonding?
I've been 47 months traveling. I think we're 60 countries now, some of them 7 or 8 times. But yeah, I've been on the road full time for 4 years.
That's amazing. I don't know how you do it, man.
Well, and so for fun, I saw you last year in Kelowna, British Columbia. I also saw Kirk last year in Ashland, Oregon. So for me, it's amazing because I get to bop around the world and visit people and meet really cool people. And just, yeah, my experience jar is very full.
Yeah, exactly. Filling your life with in-person meetings with all these epic humans, and now coming to us all the way from 6 a.m. in Australia. Well, I appreciate you making the time to jam with us. Cameron, would love, obviously Kirk and I have known you for years, and we're both so excited about the conversation we're going to have for the next 45 minutes here. But maybe just to give, the audience a quick little bio background, would love to hear a little bit of your origin story, because I always find there's great lessons that come out of those.
Sure. I'm going to talk about 2 parts now. I'll talk about my origin story. I'm also going to talk about that kind of how we met, because I think it dovetails in perfectly. So I was groomed as an entrepreneur. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My father ran his company. Both sets of grandparents ran companies, and they groomed my brother, my sister, and myself to all be entrepreneurs. We've all run our own company for between 18 and 30 years. That's all we've ever really done. I've worked behind the scenes with a couple of entrepreneurs in scaling their companies. Sometimes I had minority positions in the organization. Sometimes I did it for just as a second in command. But I got involved at 20 years old in a franchise organization called College Pro Painters. I ran my own house painting company for 3 summers. I had 12 full-time employees when I was 20 years old, worked inside of College Pro and helped them scale up. And I coached 120 of their franchisees over 4 years, including opening up the West Coast of the United States back in the early 90s. Left there and I was the partner in a chain of auto body collision repair shops. We built that up from 7 locations to 65 locations in 4 years, took the company public, and I left at that point. It's now the largest collision repair chain in the world. It's called Gerber Auto Collision in the United States. It's called Boyd Auto Body in Canada. After that, I was the president of a private currency company. We built that up and sold it to a US public company. Sold that for $64 million back in January of 2000. And I left there and I joined my best friend, Brian. We were in a mastermind called the EO. It was the Entrepreneurs Organization. Back in those days, it was called YEO. It was the Young Entrepreneurs Organization. And every month we would meet, helping each other grow our companies. So for 4 years, Brian saw me growing Boyd Auto Body and saw me growing ubarter.com. And I saw him growing what was called the Rubbish Boys. And in that 4-year period, we became very good friends. When I exited the barter company, Brian asked if I would coach him. And I started coaching him, started coaching his team. And within a week, he said, I can't do anything you're teaching us. Can you just join me? So I joined Brian as his 14th employee. That was what was called at the time 1-800-GOT-JUNK. That first year, he'd just done $2 million in revenue. The year that I joined, we finished the $2 million. 6.5 years later, we got it to 106 million in revenue. We were in 330 cities, 4 countries. Australia, we opened up, and I was the chief operating officer during that growth. Left that company 18 years ago, and since then I've been coaching entrepreneurs all over the world. I've been paid to speak now in 29 countries. I've written 6 books. I have a podcast with about 500 episodes called the Second in Command Podcast. And that's kind of my, I guess, my genesis story of how I got to where I am. And then now I run an organization called the COO Alliance, which is a mastermind community for the second in command. And that kind of ties in together because I have over the years been involved in a lot of different masterminds. The 3 of us met, I think we all met at mastermind talks. Yeah, we did. Because I remember Kirk in his pajamas, his bathrobe, and Darryl, I remember meeting you in the beautiful coat that you were wearing that Pellegrino made for you, and met you in Toronto at the MMT event. I think Kirk, you and I might have met at Carmel or Ojai. I paid to be involved with all these mastermind communities to put myself into a room where I wasn't the smartest person in the room, where I could actually connect with, grow my skills, grow my confidence, and grow my connections. And that dawned on me that there was all these amazing communities for entrepreneurs, right? We got YPO and EO and Vistage and Genius Network and Baby Bathwater and War Room and Epic Board and GoBundance and Mastermind Talks, like incredible groups for entrepreneurs all over the world. And there was nowhere for that second in command. So that gave me the idea to start the COO Alliance 9 years ago. And we've had over 600 members now in 17 countries. And that's what I run today.
Yeah. Just tremendous good that you've been doing for that as well. Like it's such a great void to fill. And again, coming from a place of, tremendous experience with all other businesses, one of the things I really appreciate about you is your ability to really distill down what was it, like we all say, like success leaves clues, right? But to distill down what was it actually that led to success? Like what was it that gave that unlock? I mean, you mentioned you've written 6 books. One of I think my favorite one, I don't know, Meeting Suck was really, really good. But you and I have jammed a lot on Vivid Vision, and I love that one in particular. You had this great quote. I remember the first time you said it to me, like, if your team can't see what's in your head, you'll never get there together, right? Like this idea of time travel with instructions. I'd love, though, one of the things I was asking about, I was thinking about this.
That's a great quote.
Yeah. Well, it's yours. It's your
time travel with instructions is mine?
Yeah. Time travel with instructions. Yeah. So for the audience, just full disclosure, Cameron used to be my CEO coach back in the day and helped me through some really, really important days in the early years of launching FlexPay and scaling it up. And I've got like volumes of notes from the calls that we would have together. And so I was just kind of reviewing it before jumping on here, and that one popped out to me. So
amazing.
I obviously am a huge fan of the Vivid Vision. I think that so many times CEOs feel like, well, I've said it so many times, I'm going to sound like a broken record. And it doesn't matter how many times you think you've tried to convey the vision of what it is that you're building to your team. It's never enough. It's never enough. But there's something about getting it down, codifying it, going through. But I had a question. As I was thinking about this, I was talking about it. I do a little bit of coaching and advisory. I'm on a couple of board of directors now. And I talk a lot about the importance of getting this out. But it hasn't always gone exactly the way I was hoping that it would. I wanted to ask you, have you ever seen a time where a Vivid Vision failed? And, what were maybe early warning signals that told you needed a rewrite, or like, how did you salvage team morale? Do you have any examples of that?
It's often not the Vivid Vision that fails. It's the execution on the Vivid Vision that fails, right? The vision to go somewhere is usually pretty clear. It's the ability to align people and to inspire people and to attract the right people and to have to then go out and put the puzzle pieces in place. But the act of having a vision usually doesn't fail at all. Where people can kind of take the Vivid Vision concept off track. First off, let's explain to everybody. A Vivid Vision is a 4 or 5 page description of what your company looks like, acts like, and feels like 3 years in the future. Where entrepreneurs often take it off course is they turn it into the plan. Now, if I'm an entrepreneur and I want to build my dream home, I can have a vision for what my home looks like. But if the homeowner starts creating the blueprints to build the home, it's going to fail, right? If the homeowner designs the blueprints for a dream home that is 50,000 square feet and it's going to cost $20 million to build and they have a budget for $1 million, it's going to fail, right? If the homeowner has a vision for this beautiful dream home that's maybe only 5,000 square feet and it's only going to cost $1 million, but they try to build it themselves, it's going to fail. So it's not the vision that fails. It's often the execution or that they turn it into something that it's not meant to be. I saw one company they called it their vivid vision, and it was a 10-year vision for the company. Well, that's not what a vivid vision is. So they're putting a brand on something else and then saying that might be failing. So that would be my starting point. Now, if you craft a good 4 or 5 page description and it doesn't have the plan of how you're going to make it come true, and you merely roll it out to your team and then keep your fingers crossed and hope that it happens, it's going to fail, right? In the book, Vivid Vision, I also talk about it in my book, The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs, and also in the book, Double Double, that you need to keep revisiting and rereading that vivid vision. You need to reread it every quarter. You need to have your customers read it. You need to have your suppliers read it. You need to have your business partners read it. You need to have employees reread it. You need to talk about it at meetings. It needs to be looked at constantly so that you can keep figuring out how to make certain sentences of it come true.
Mhm.
Yeah. We used it at OG. On Money Mavericks, we don't just talk about making money. We explore the innovative strategies and bold decisions that drive real change. Whether you're an experienced investor, a budding entrepreneur, or just someone looking to make smarter financial choices, we've got something for you.
Every week, we're going to sit down with industry leaders, visionaries, and mavericks who share their journeys, challenges, and breakthroughs, from contrarian views on market trends to the secrets behind building a successful startup. You get an inside look at what it takes to thrive in today's economy.
And we promise to keep it real, engaging, and most importantly, actionable. No jargon, no fluff. Just straightforward conversations that you can apply to your own financial journey.
So get ready to challenge your thinking, expand your knowledge, and take control of your financial future. This is Money Mavericks,
where we turn financial dreams into realities and mavericks into legends. Go in our ongoing operations in a pretty pivotal point of transitioning. I've gone one step further now, Cameron. I'd love your thought on this, which is my belief is we forget to tell everybody where we're going, right? And then secondly, we hire people for job descriptions, but we forget to tell them their secret mission, right? And that they often have these secret missions that are, well, I'm hiring you because I think you'll be a great CFO in 5 years. And meanwhile, we hire them as a bookkeeper, we give them the bookkeeper job. And then 5 years later, when they haven't suddenly emerged as a CFO, we're like, I don't understand what happened. You're not going to work out. You don't have the vision. You don't have this. And we just forgot to tell them that they actually have this other hidden agenda in that mode.
Yeah. And I think that, again, is part of the constantly revisiting that vivid vision. The CEO's job is to constantly be thinking about where we're going and communicating that. The COO's job is to figure out how to make that come true. Right? The homeowner's job is to have the vision of the home we're building. The contractor's job is to put the plans in place and find the people, and then to stay in sync. But if you ever get out of sync, then it's going to completely fail for sure. The other thing that I've seen happen is they tend to put too many measurable goals into the vivid vision, and that's not what the vivid vision is. It's not a set of descriptive kind of measurable numbers. It's not the plan. It's the vision for where you're going. The plan comes later. And then the plan is things that you'll do in the first year, things that you'll do in the second year, things that you'll do in the third year. And then you focus on all those first year projects, very foundational projects. Often entrepreneurs get bored with the foundational projects and they want to do the cool stuff, but the cool stuff built off of a weak foundation is going to fail. Again, that's not the vivid vision failing, that's execution failing.
I love that framing. Yeah. I think one of the things that I've lent into, I took the vivid vision idea, and just like we did with, company values, well, why are we not doing this for the family, right? Why do I not sit down with my wife and with the kids and talk about what do we stand for and what's really important to us and what are our values? I wanted to do the same thing with a vivid vision, and I stumbled across a vivid vision that I had written in 2019 for my personal life. And I wrote it and I completely forgot about it. And then I rediscovered it in 2020 because, what happened shortly after November of 2019 when I wrote it? The whole world went to hell in a handbasket with a pandemic and everything just kind of got thrown out the window, right? But here, lo and behold, I find this thing at the end of 2022. And I have to tell you, Cameron, I was absolutely shocked at how much of it had come true. Like literally 80% of this thing And I remember where I was sitting on the beach in the Caribbean with my family and the angst and the frustration. And I'm like, and this isn't going well, but what would it look like if it was this? And I was just like, and so much of it felt unachievable at the time. But I think just the importance of putting that out there into the universe. And I know that you too are a fan of this, of like setting that direction personally. I'd like to think that, I know you pretty well, but what's in your current personal vivid vision that would surprise me, you think?
Okay, so I've written a personal vivid vision for Cameron Herold. My
Mhm.
wife and I have written a vivid vision for our marriage, and then I have a vivid vision for my company. So I have 3 vivid visions. So the
Wow.
one for me as Cameron Herold talks about me as a dad, as a friend, as a lover, as a confidant, as a traveler, as a human, as a person in society. So I talk about vacations, I talk about fitness, I talk about health, I talk about the use of psychedelics. Here's one that would be interesting for you that you probably don't know. I just wrote down in my vivid vision, December 31st, 2027 vivid vision of me says that I haven't had a drink for 5 years, almost 5 years,
Hmm.
because I'm already 2 years sober. I haven't had a drink in well over 2 years now. In fact, I just went out the other day. I'm making beef bourguignon tomorrow, and I had to go buy a bottle of red wine. And I was laughing, going, I haven't bought a bottle of red wine in years. So the fact that I'm actually saying I haven't had a drink for 5 years is me really leaning into the fact that I don't drink anymore. It's gone. I call myself California sober. I work with, shaman and guides, and I'll use psychedelics in different journeys for personal growth. Like that was when I met Kirk. I was down in Ashland, Oregon, working with a shaman, and I did a couple of ayahuasca journeys. So I'm leaning into personal growth. I'm
Mm.
leaning into fitness more. I work out with a trainer. I'm the best weight that I've ever been. I'm actually the same weight right now that I was when I moved to Canada 30 years ago.
Wow. Man, this is another really interesting trend that has come almost seemingly out of nowhere. Like, do you know how many founders, entrepreneurs I'm talking to where we're having these conversations? It's like they've reduced their alcohol consumption, like either by 100% or really, really significantly.
Yeah. Sorry,
Not
sorry,
one-
Kirk.
not the
Kirk owns a
F1 crew.
winery.
I don't know. He's full of it because I just was on a 3-day trip to Montreal where I've never seen so much alcohol flow. And there were 25 entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this was like I choose my people carefully, but that was also like not the typical for me what we were doing in Formula One. I choose my moments, but yeah, I mean, I came off of like a 7-month journey of I reduced my alcohol consumption by about 95% from what it was before. I did not drop down 100%, but hitting the gym 5 times a week, 6 times a week, really dialed in on the macros, weighing and measuring all my food, and
I
got
don't know how
myself
much
into
of that
the
is the
yeah.
peer group we're in or the age group we're in, right? I mean, I feel like some of both of them.
I think there's also been a big trend around biohacking. We're both
Mm.
friends with Ben Greenfield, who's a big biohacker. Ben's actual COO used to be a member of the COO Alliance. I was just talking yesterday with Dave Asprey, the founder of Bulletproof Coffee, who I used to coach 10 years ago. I'm friends with Tim Gray that runs the Health Optimization Summit. So we're around this trend of biohacking and health. I mean, my wife is writing a book called The Better Bedtime right now. So there's all these people that are in our space and kind of in our orbit that are around health, and they're pointing out that alcohol isn't what it was before. I think there's still a place for it for many people. Like Kirk, you own a winery, and there's still a place for people to enjoy it, but they're not habitually drinking like they used to drink.
I would say nobody comes to the winery looking to get drunk.
Right, exactly. So they're not, but I think there was a habit over the 70s and 80s and 90s where people just drank out. It was the way that they finished their day as a way to de-stress. Now people are choosing to go to the gym as a way to de-stress and maybe enjoying a drink as part of a meal. I just found that for me, I wasn't able to turn it off as well, right? I was using it as an escape hatch, and it wasn't a healthy one. Now I would rather go to the gym as an escape hatch, use mindfulness as escape hatch, and I would rather work with substances to open me up to what's happening in the rest of the universe versus using it as an escape hatch for me.
Yeah. I have a totally off topic question here that keeps running through my head, which is, I love this vivid vision concept and I love where it's taking you on your journey. I also, very early in my career, I would do much more of like the project manager approach to building business, which is what's my goal, work backwards, and then whip everybody into submission to get to achieve said goal. And I found that the vivid vision was this alternative universe where you kind of put the picture out there and then somehow the pieces self-assemble to accomplish a gigantic portion of it. And I always struggle with, how do you reconcile those two worlds? And because you can be very effective in the taskmaster piece for a period of time, you can't sustain it over time, I find.
I don't think you do. I don't think you have to massively change, because I think what's beautiful about your model of reverse engineering, I actually thought at one point that I'd coined that term and then realized it's been used forever. But when you plan your work and work your plan, right? When you have a plan, you reverse engineer that. All it is now is giving people the inspiration of the vivid vision, and then you're working that backwards, and then they're excited about the task that they're working on. So the example I always give is the three guys sitting in Barcelona, Spain. They're sitting out in the dirt and they're making bricks. And they asked the first guy, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm making bricks." And, you know, the manager's making sure that he's making bricks as fast as possible. And they say to the second guy, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm building a wall and I'm making the bricks to build the wall." And the manager's making sure that he's building the bricks as fast as possible. And then they go to the third guy and they say, "What are you doing?" He said, "We're building a cathedral to worship God. It's going to be called the Sagrada Familia. It's going to become one of the most famous cathedrals in the world. And I get to build the bricks to build the left wall of the cathedral." And the manager is still making sure that he's building bricks, but he's at least inspired. So all you're talking about is reverse engineering and project managing people, but they're inspired and they're excited and they see the point. They understand how the work that they're doing is making something, even if it's making one sentence come true. That inspiration and that kind of, it helps people understand. It also helps the leader to be able to say no, or not now. Right? I'm saying no to this because it's not aligned with the vivid vision. I still like you. I respect you. I'm glad you gave me the idea, but it's no, because it's not driving us towards where we're going. It's not part of the plan to make that vivid vision come true. Or it's a not now, because we're going to do it next year because we're still working on these foundational things, right? We're going to put in the Wolf stove and the Sub-Zero fridge and those beautiful cabinets, but we're still putting in the electrical and the plumbing and the drywall. So we're not going to put in the fridge yet. But it's coming.
Right.
Yeah. What I love about some of what you were just talking about there too is like, it's managing the energy of the people who get to show up, like helping them to feel inspired. It's something that we've talked about a lot, or I know that you speak about quite frequently, the energy of the founder, making sure that they're in the optimal place, you know, mentally and emotionally, but also that when your staff are showing up every day, that they're able to show up, that you're giving them an opportunity to feel inspired, to feel the opportunity to show up and be the best version of yourself. I think it's even one of the things that comes out in some of your other books. Like a lot of that was kind of the purpose of like Meetings Suck, right? When you're talking about like, stop draining all this like energy out of your people so they can show up and be the best version of themselves.
Yeah. I mean, a leader's core job is to grow people, right? It's to grow. God, we got this beautiful sunrise.
I'm watching it slowly evolve.
Sorry, I got to show you guys this. Like, if do you guys, is this, yeah, if you're listening to the podcast, sorry, you're missing out. But if you're watching, fuck,
Beautiful.
God is good, man.
Mm.
God, he's a good architect of cool shit.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah, there's just this beautiful sunrise in Australia behind me. I got to take a picture. Hang on. I want my wife to see this if she hasn't seen it yet.
I love
Have you ever had anybody in the middle of a podcast just stop and like enjoy the world? But that's the shit.
Nope.
That's the stuff that matters. Like, that's the stuff that matters, right?
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Money Mavericks. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And be sure to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it.
Stay connected with us on social media and visit our website for exclusive resources, episode transcripts, and more.
Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries, making smart moves, and turning your financial dreams into realities.
You've been listening to Money Mavericks, where Mavericks become legends.